Did I get you? Did I scare you? No? Two on the nose? Okay. I know we'll get you. Yeah! It's Halloween, one of my favorite holidays to celebrate. I mean, after all, you get to dress up as some of your favorite characters. I personally am my boy, Jonathan Crane, or the Scarecrow. He's my favorite DC character, one of my favorite characters of all time. I feel like this mask kind of fucks up the audio. If you're a fan of mine, you already know my audio sucks regardless. It's not just costumes I use to celebrate Halloween. I usually make a special video to commemorate the occasion. After all, this is my channel's birthday as well. So originally I was going to take this moment to review one of the worst Transformers ever, especially considering the fact that, I'm sad to say this is probably the last time my main focus will be Transformers, which the figure I was going to review was Beast Machine's Nightscream. But not only is it really expensive, it's like insanely fragile now, so I didn't think it was a good idea. So instead I decided to review something a lot scarier. The worst thing I think I have in my possession.
What the fuck?
Harley Quinn Fartacular. Silent but deadly. You know, I think I'm actually going to take off the mask. I don't think you can effectively feel the despair in my face when I talk about this, so...
This comic makes me very sad. So why am I reviewing this? This is a comic that's been talked about to death. Everyone's talked about it. It's not even just reviewers or like comic fans, but even like commentary channels who like talk about everything daily. Well, the main reason for this is, while everyone already knows that this is a terrible comic book, this is particularly egregious to me, because this basically crosses off every single thing that I hate. It's in one form right here. I'm not even joking. This might be my least favorite thing in fiction. There are probably illegal materials like snuff films I hate less than this comic, and I'm not even exaggerating. There's also an advertisement for the Harley Quinn cartoon, which I did watch. I thought it was pretty good, but I stopped after season 1. Why?
No! Oh my god! No! 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 No!
Still
the writing kind of fell off, I guess. So I guess I'll first start with probably the most harmless thing. Well, maybe not. I cannot fucking stand Harley Quinn. She is my least favorite character in fiction ever, only behind Sora. And I realize that my favorite video game genre is the platform fighter, where both Sora and Harley Quinn are playable, and my favorite characters never will be playable. The main reason I hate her so much is that she is an industry implant. I already found Harley Quinn such a one-dimensional character, and she's been so oversaturated. Now, there are characters that have been oversaturated and they're done to death. You know, like in Pokemon, people complain about Charizard. With Marvel, it's Deadpool, and characters along those lines. But at least there's like actual organic love for the character. Charizard is one of the original Pokemon and was the original fire starter who's a dragon, and he also just has that classic design, so of course it's going to be popular. Deadpool is a character that many people found funny before his movie, and I'll be honest, even like with Transformers, people say they're tired of Bumblebee. Bumblebee was at least cool in G1. Like, he was one of the best characters in G1, even if I don't like any of his other incarnations, other than maybe animated. Harley Quinn is just such a mediocre character, and the thing is, the reason I love the Batman villains is not only are they as vibrant and as memorable as the Spider-Man villains, who are also pretty good, but the most important thing is they have that connection to the hero. The reason they're so good is that they are excellent metaphors of Batman. Two-Face has the whole split personality thing where you're not even sure who's the main one. Is Harvey Dent the real Harvey Dent, or is it the scarred evil side with Two-Face? Clayface is all about the mysterious identity of Batman. Scarecrow uses fear just like Batman. Bane is a self-sufficient, barely even human force of nature where he's both incomprehensibly powerful and intelligent. And some of these are even really subtle, like Mr. Freeze with isolation, and the Mad Hatter with obsession taking over his identity, and also just being insane. Harley Quinn doesn't really have any of that. I guess maybe it's the Stockholm Syndrome thing, which, like, you know, Batman or Bruce can't really move on from being Batman. But even then, I think Mr. Freeze already does that, but a lot better. Despite how overdone Harley Quinn is, we constantly see her everywhere. It would get annoying for great characters like Mr. Freeze to be as oversaturated as Harley Quinn is currently, but with a character as already mediocre as Harley, it's like, goddamn, I'm sick to fucking death of this stupid-ass character. It also doesn't help that she was only ever good in 2 properties, the original cartoon and the original Arkham Asylum game. Everything else, she's annoying as fuck.
No can do, Blubberpot. Quiet ain't in my vocabulary. I'm Batman. Get it? Batman.
And now that she's basically DC's equivalent of Deadpool, even though they already have Deathstroke, or if you want the humorous road, Lobo. But this is a character for like 40-year-old Facebook moms. They love this character, and that's why she's so prevalent. But those motherfuckers don't read comics. I do! So instead of getting good stories with not only Batman villains, I mean, Bane's amazing, but when was the last time he was good? Nightfall? Arkham Origins? That shit was years ago, decades even. And hell, even outside of Batman's Rogues Gallery, we don't get any stories about Martian Manhunter. We very rarely get good stories about Green Arrow and Black Canary, which is an amazing couple. I saw one comic about Hawkgirl, which didn't really appeal to me, but that's an interesting character, her and Hawkman. We barely see any of that. We very rarely ever see stuff about Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps, and like, that shit has infinite potential, especially with all the additions of the extra Lantern Corps. We don't get those stories nowadays.
And hell, even when we do get stories about Green Lantern, it's shit like this. He's a bum. He's a bum!
You know what we do get? We get that. The Harley Quinn fart comic. Now, why else do I hate this comic? It's a fart fetish comic. Now, here's the thing with fetish shit. As long as it's not illegal, or may I be so bold, like objectively immoral, like shit and diaper shit, you need to hide that. As long as it's like tame, I'm honestly not against the idea of sharing your fetishes. After all, if the good Lord intended us to hide our fetishes, he wouldn't have created DeviantArt, and I don't care who you are, DeviantArt is proof that God has a sense of humor. That shit is fucking amazing. But, like, be honest. Don't say, like, oh, it's kind of silly, it's kind of cute. Be honest. It gets your dick hard. And there's weirder things to be into. At least you're not a diaper guy. Okay? This comic, on the other hand, doesn't do that. It tries to hide the fact that, oh, it's a silly comic, but no one would make this kind of story if they didn't have a fart fetish. You know, I remember, like, about a year ago at this point, well, not really, but I played those anime games about high schoolers killing themselves. What was it called? Donkey Ronga? Yeah, something like that. And then in the third one, you know, the really shitty one, there was a moment in that game that stuck out to me in not a good way, and it didn't stick very well with a lot of people, and that was the ending of the third trial, where the person was revealed to kill 2 girls because he had incestuous relationships with his sister. And a lot of people, myself included, found it to be in really bad taste and just made it very uncomfortable.
It is not that difficult. My sister's...
And whenever I experience a piece of media, I like to, like, listen to what other people have to say about it. And not because I need their opinion to form mine. I just want to hear different perspectives or different people talk about something I just experienced. It's fun. And a lot of people mention that this game has a problem with fetish stuff, or a really weird and kind of creepy obsession with incest stuff. Because not only was there that scene, but if you were a weirdo and you did the salmon side quest thing, and you did like a side thing with Freddy Fazcunt, who's like the main villain, don't ask why I call her that. Watch the videos if you care. She also has a thing for incest, and it's kind of weird, like, why is this in the game? Until I realized, and I remembered the point of the ending, where she's the main villain, and she wrote everyone else, because every character is fictional, She wrote all of the plot lines, including the one in the third trial. So, the only other character who has like a weird thing for incest is the character who wrote everyone else. Was that whole point a statement against people putting their fetishes into their work? Because if so, that's an incredibly subtle way of doing storytelling, which V3 kind of has, even though I still think it sucks. And if that really was the intention, I applaud them. Maybe make it a little less subtle next time, because it didn't really connect for a lot of people. And what good does your message do if no one understands it and is just kind of put off by it? You know, even other things kind of do that, like Dino Land. And all of this is just making me think, you should have listened to the shitty anime game. You should have listened to the shitty fucking anime game, because now it's this fucking trash. But yeah, the fact that it's an official fetish book under DC Comics with an oversaturated garbage character instead of an endless amount of great stories. How often do we get Constantine stuff? We don't. We get this. That's just the surface level stuff. When we read this story, it gets even worse. I still love when I was reading this book for the first time. First off, this book fucking reeks. Like, I got this thing sealed, and when I opened it, I can still fucking smell this book. What is wrong with these people? It's not enough that this is an assault on my senses with eyes, but it's also an assault on this. And this shit barely fucking works for me. The fact that I'm still feeling nauseous, despite this thing barely fucking working, is a testament to how disgusting this fucking thing is. But it's just funny, me reading this and losing all faith in humanity, and I'm like, visibly sad. My mom walks in, and she says, "Hey, you winning, son?" And all she sees is her son, sitting on the couch, dressed up as his favorite character. And he's really sad, because he's reading a fart story about his least favorite character. That is very disappointing. I'm actually gonna fucking vomit. Oh my god. I've been sick for like all of October. This is not helping. So the story starts with Poison Ivy. And can I just take a moment to say how sad I am that Poison Ivy's basically been ruined? She's a cool villain, and I'm glad she's getting stuff. But only on a surface level. Because, again, she's an interesting representation of Batman's obsession with order, and how it also takes over his life, similar to the Mad Hatter's obsessions. And her whole justified cause being kind of a bad thing makes her an interesting character. She's easily redeemable. We don't get stories about that. All she's used for now is Harley Quinn's girlfriend. And I never really got this whole thing of, okay, she broke up with the Joker because he's abusive. Fine, whatever. So when she's getting a redemption arc, why does she go to the person who hates humanity? Poison Ivy has a hatred for us meat sacks, but the one person she likes, the one redemption for humanity, is the most annoying character in fiction. That'd be like if I hated life, and I was planning on committing an act of terrorism, and I had one chance to change my mind, and I play Kingdom Hearts. Like, I'm just gonna hate everything more. If this represents the best of humanity, I'm blowing up Chuck E. Cheese. Poison Ivy might be the most flanderized character since, like, Rosalina from Mario.
Huh? I'm alive? No! I'm back!
But anyways, the whole story is she's very, very sad because she farts. No, Poison Ivy farts. Can we zoom in on that? Can we zoom on that? Yeah. And Harley has a fart fetish pretty clearly, and she's upset because Poison Ivy is very upset at her, and she gets really mad at Harley Quinn over this. It's like, of all things, you've been around this character. This is your new wife, and you get mad at her because she's teasing you about your farts. I get you're petty because you're a supervillain, but good fucking lord. The writing in the story it's just abysmal. It is bad.
I'll say this about the writing. This writing is almost word for word, well, maybe not literally, but it is almost exactly written as intentionally written fetish content where the characters are like out of place and just talking about the stuff that's the focus of the fetish. It literally reads like that. That's why I'm convinced that this is a fetish book. Like, I get that this was like written for April Fools, but there is a way you make a silly Ren and Stimpy fart story for April Fools. This is not that. It is very clearly not that. And if you read this, don't do that, by the way. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that. I did this for you. You will 100% understand that.
So then she goes to like a hot dog stand, and someone litters, and yeah, she kills him, and it's like played for laughs, but it's not funny. It's like annoying, quirky humor. Like, oh, I killed someone. It's disrespectful. Thanks for the hot dog, hun. She can't fight no more. But then she goes to she goes to a museum of farting, and then she has a quirky little moment where she talks to the audience, the camera. She talks to the camera. Excuse me, and she's making silly faces. I'll say one good thing about this story: the art style. The person who's drawing this has talent. I'm not laughing at any of this art because the actual story is so unfunny, it just causes me pain. But whoever drew this, they have talent. I think they draw for TF2 comics, I think. Could be wrong. Talent in the art. One redeeming quality. So then she's like trying to find something. She's finding a letter. Okay. And she goes inside the asshole of a statue, and I'm actually getting sick. So then, like, this wife of a person, who I believe actually did have a fart fetish, but he only kept it between him and his wife. And it's, like, really sad. It wasn't supposed to get leaked out, but it did. And the story is kind of mocking him for it, which he did everything he could. He was just born being attracted to some weird shit, but he did a commendable job of handling it. And then this story is like, no, I'm going to shame you for this, for a reason that we'll get into in just a second. You know what's not shameful? Making an entire licensed story with a stupid-ass fucking character glorifying your fetish and saying, it's not actually a fetish, man! It's not! So then she gets in a fight with the wife, and she has fire fart powers. And I nearly started crying, and I'm actually sick. I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, and then she tries to make up with Poison Ivy, and she's still pissed for some reason. And then she beats Batman's ass, and they try to make this a feminist problem, because men are allowed to fart all the time, but if a woman does it, it's not okay. Which, like, huh? And then there's, of course, a scene where Batman gets embarrassed by having Harley Quinn beat the shit out of him while talking about men and stuff. Essentially, at this point, what I'm getting to is that this story has an agenda to push. Listen, I'm not going to be one of these people who's crying woke, okay? If you have a message you want to push with your art, I think that's fine. If it's at least a genuine message that you really believe in, and it's heartfelt, and there's passion behind it, and reasonings, you can have whatever message you want, as long as it's not terroristical, I guess, or like objectively evil, but that's obviously not what I'm talking about. Even if it's one that I disagree with, you know, that's fine. But problem with this is it's very surface level and so transparent that it's just full of shit. There's no real genuinity of the author behind this message. It's just generic, standard cookie cutter shit. And not to mention, it's not even true. If, like, a guy does something that's gross, but, like, people have a fetish for, they're just like, man, you fucking nasty. But if a woman does it, weirdos are into it. Which, like, If they wanted to have like a feminist message behind this, don't do that, by the way. You can do that of many stories. Probably not the fart fetish comic, but like, at least if you're gonna have one, you know, maybe you could put it the other way. Maybe she does like farting for whatever reason, but she gets like catcalled behind it by a bunch of weirdos who are into fart fetish stuff. And then you could have something, but that's not what they were going for, because I don't think the writer was thinking with his brain. I think he was thinking with something else.
Essentially what the story is that it is a fetish comic made by someone who has a specific fetish, but also tries to virtue signal about feminism to you, and it's so transparently full of shit. And now that I think about it, this just sounds like something Andrew Dobson would make. No wonder it's so shitty. Literally?
It's... Wait a minute. Wait. Oh my god. Wait. Okay. She sees an act of justice while at somewhere else. She pulls an excuse me for one moment, and then she commits an act of violence, doesn't get any charges for it, and is considered a hero. Holy shit, she really fucking is Andrew Dobson! This is a story about Andrew Dobson! Holy shit! Anyways, after this, it just kind of devolves into, like, just garbage. Just... At this point, I stopped reading. I physically couldn't read this story anymore. And again, they kind of humiliate the guy who had a real fart fetish, which I just find incredibly disrespectful and disgusting. And this is where I'm kind of conflicted on this story, because one of the main reasons I hate it is it ruins characters I was already fucking sick of. Like, the idea of Harley Quinn having a fetish book that's officially published while so many great stories, potentially great stories, that DC could tell just never happen. And then I realized it could get so much worse, because then they can ruin characters you like Plastic Man. Oh, and hey, would you look at that? They actually do have Satana. So, that's the Harley Quinn story. Yeah, this is overall a not very good story. There's a couple of problems that I think are kind of salvageable, but ultimately I think it's just kind of mediocre. I'm not a particular fan of it, but, you know, it could be better.
This story is an example of everything that could go wrong comically going wrong, and not in the good way. As in, it's comical how it's even possible for something to be this bad. The main character is an implant that I and most people are fucking sick of, and while DC is making an attempted recovery at being as popular as Marvel again, which is going pretty well, the main reason the comics are still behind reputation-wise is because instead of making stories about their endless amount of cool characters, they decided to put all of their focus onto a handful of them. And even the good characters that get used get mishandled because of their role in this atrocious, never-ending cycle of the same stories over and over again. The main one being Harley Quinn breaking up with Joker and becoming her own character by being in a much healthier relationship with a psychopath who hates humans, which I will never get over this being so common. Like, why is a story being told so often? It sucks. It's to the point where Harley Quinn gets more stories and is more of the face of DC Femme Fatales, at least right now, than fucking Wonder Woman. Wrap your head around that. The story itself is basically just porn for people with fart fetishes, starring said atrocious character, which would already be bad enough. But not only do they try to write it off as just a joke, which is not fooling anybody, but at the same time, somehow try to make it a feminist message, but not even a thought-provoking one, but an incredibly basic, uninspired, and disingenuous white man bad and women are oppressed because they don't make the rules message, which not only have we heard a million times already, and it was already stupid as there's more important issues, but like, if you're making the same mistake that the Emoji Movie did, where you're putting laughably shallow politics in a story as stupid as this, you take yourself way too seriously, you don't have any good ideas, and you make Chris Chan level bad ideas.
cross a line.
Tap that off with the fact that this story is the worst way to go about living with your fetish, where you just showcase it out in the open for everyone to see with zero shame, while also shaming a real-life person who suffered from this and did everything in his power he could to handle it gracefully, better than many people I know personally, adds to the extra insidiousness that this story has. Oh, and of course, as a final cherry on top, this book is actually toxic to just live with, as it comes installed with several scratch and sniff features that don't actually require you to scratch and sniff in order for the atrocious odor to fly into your nose. You just need to open it out of the package. I genuinely do not know how a professional piece of fiction, a book, a movie, or a video game can be worse than this story. And let me be clear, I read both of Onision's books. Okay, I listened to someone else read it, but that still counts. When even Onision makes stuff that's not as bad as your book, you really need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing? So yeah, this book is atrocious, but you already knew that, didn't you?
So, happy Halloween. Moral of the story, don't pay $15 to $20 on a comic you fucking loathe only to destroy at the very end, because that costs money, and people probably already know it sucks. But you know what? Doing what I just did makes it all the worthwhile. So, you know what? Money well spent. I'm naked right now.